Have you ever wondered why 99% of your efforts only result in mediocrity? While Bill Gates holds the master key to turning all of humanity? I am about to reveal a brutal truth about success that might give you heat shock, an empathetic secret hidden for decades. Don't look away, because this moment will completely redefine your destiny. The starting point, passion and inner energy. I used to ask myself during sleepless nights at Harvard. What truly separates someone with potential from a legend? Most people mistake it for innate intelligence or a prestigious degree. But I am here to tell you a much harsher truth. One that might shock you but is the very key to opening the door you've always craved. Success, at the highest level, is not a game of luck, it is a brutal commitment to the point of extremism. Do you ever wonder why some people turn everything they touch into gold, while others struggle their whole lives in the cycle of mediocrity? The answer lies in a force where the boundary between breath and work is almost blurred. Do you dare to face the truth that what you call effort is actually just laziness disguised under low standards? Brace yourself, because this is not just a business lesson, it is a manifesto on how to create destiny. If you look away for even a second, you might miss the most important link to completely changing your life. Stay with me until the end, because the conclusion contains a secret about empathy that could overturn all your preconceptions about wealth. Before we dive deep into this mental map, if you thirst for growth and want to walk alongside the greatest minds, please hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. Your support is the motivation for us to continue this journey of exploring knowledge and bringing values that transform your mindset. Let's start with the beginning of all great endeavors, passion and inner energy. Looking back at the early days of Microsoft, I didn't see myself as a polished CEO, but as a fanatic in dark rooms with lines of code flowing across the screen. People ask me, how do you maintain such a horrific work intensity? The answer is simple. I never considered it work. Programming wasn't a task, it was an expedition into new lands of the intellect. To truly succeed, you must love what you do to the point of obsession. It's not a superficial kind of love, but an unconditional dedication. At Microsoft, we succeeded because we held a vast concept of software that other companies couldn't even imagine. We committed at a level that outsiders called crazy. I remember living for days without rest. Not because of financial pressure, but because I felt I was creating an unparalleled power for humanity. Passion is the natural filter that eliminates amateurs. If you work only for profit, you will be crushed by those who love the work with their very lives. Throughout my childhood, I was lucky to have access to computers when they were still rare machines. Those tireless hours of programming forged in me an iron spirit. When you wake up and exclaim, "I love what I'm about to do," you possess an ultimate weapon. But passion alone isn't enough. You need a vision big enough. Set your ambitions sky high. I don't look at those around me for comfort. I look at the greatest figures in history to see how small I am. By my standards, most people are too lazy. They are satisfied with small steps. While I want a revolution. Never settle early. Satisfaction is the grave of genius. Another key factor is persistent motivation. Motivation is an iron discipline. Look at education. A child who drops out often does so because they lack a big enough reason to start. If a student loses faith in their ability, the risk of failure increases manifold. Everything I do revolves around one axis. If you have the motivation, I will provide the tools. But without inner motivation, no technology can save you from stagnation. Motivation turns tired nights into exciting experiences, helping you keep fighting when everyone else has given up. To have this source of energy, you must learn to face life's tragedies. The death of my close friend Kent Evans at 16 woke me up to the finitude of time. You don't have a millennium to fulfill your dreams. That urgency created a fiercely determined Bill Gates. Ask yourself, what is your standard? Do you compare yourself to the average or to legends? As Steve Jobs said, the only way to do great work is to love what you do. When you combine love for work, peak ambition, and discipline, you have an invincible foundation. Passion is the flame, but to let it lead the way, you need absolute focus. We will explore the secret of a different mindset in the next part. The execution tools, focus and curiosity once the fire of passion is burning. The question is how to channel that energy into a flow that can create reality. The answer lies in an execution tool I consider supreme. the ability for deep focus and limitless curiosity. If you cannot master your attention, you will always remain an outsider to great achievements. Look at the modern world, where distraction is becoming a disease-stifling thought. The harm of lack of focus is not just a lag in productivity, but an impoverishment of the soul and intellect. If you keep letting your mind be fragmented by social media notifications or momentary trivialities, you will never have enough power to dig deep into any field. A fragmented mind will produce flawed products, wrong decisions, and a life full of unfinished intentions. Distraction is the silent thief stealing the greatest human potential, turning you into a puppet of algorithms and short-term stimuli. Conversely, imagine the massive benefit when you master absolute focus. That is when you enter a state I call being deep in the problem. When I was at Harvard, I often skipped regular classes just to lock myself in a room and tackle math problems that fascinated me. Focus allows you to take a 400-page book on an unfamiliar subject, take meticulous notes, and question the parts you don't understand until it becomes part of your thought system. When you solve the problem of focus, you possess a superpower, the ability to decode complexities that others surrender to. Deep focus is the lens that converges all weak light rays into a laser beam strong enough to pierce any knowledge barrier. It gives you the confidence of someone who truly masters knowledge, rather than just scratching the surface. Alongside focus, curiosity is the fuel to maintain this execution machine. If you stop being curious, your intellect begins to age from that very moment. I was never satisfied with what was in the textbooks. I sought out books by Richard Feynman or Donald Knuth to challenge my limits. The harm of a lack of curiosity is a narrow perspective, making you conservative and easily obsolete in a world that changes by the hour. Those too lazy to be curious will be stuck in old ruts, while those who never stop asking, why, and what if, will be the ones who hold the future. The benefit of persistent curiosity is that it turns your life into a journey of discovery that never ends. Especially in this era, with the support of artificial intelligence, your curiosity will be given wings. AI is not a tool for you to be lazier in thinking, but a personal tutor that allows you to experiment, fail, and learn thousands of times faster than before. When you know how to ask the right questions, technology becomes the greatest lever for you to conquer new heights. The combination of brutal focus and childlike curiosity will turn you into an unstoppable learning entity. Don't let yourself become a victim of distraction. Choose focus as your tool and curiosity as your compass. Only then will you have enough strength to enter the next part of the journey, building strategic vision and relationships that can change the world. Strategic intuition and quality relationships. When you have mastered focus and curiosity, you are no longer just looking for answers, you begin to become an architect of the future. However, any great journey will hit a dead end if you only look at your feet and not at the vast ocean. The tragedy of a lonely genius is the limitation of vision. If you lack strategic intuition and connection with other great minds, all your efforts will remain small experiments in a closed room. The harm of a narrow vision is a horrific waste of time. You could spend a lifetime perfecting something the world doesn't need, or worse, be swept away by technological waves you never anticipated. A blurred intuition will turn you into a great follower, always late to historical turning points and forever just an executor of someone else's dream. Look at the moment Paul Allen and I saw the Altair computer on a magazine cover. That wasn't just a piece of news, it was a lightning bolt of destiny. Strategic intuition screamed inside me that this was a once-in-a-thousand-year opportunity. I believed in Moore's law when the rest of the world was still vague about it. I understood that when hardware costs approached zero, software would become the power dominating all things. If I hadn't dared to bet my whole future that day, hadn't dared to leave Harvard to follow the call of intuition, perhaps I would have been just an ordinary lawyer or math professor. The benefit of a far-reaching vision is that it allows you to prepare before the storm hits. It turns you into a pioneer, the one who sets the rules of the game instead of the one who follows them. Intuition is not superstition. It is the result of a process of observing data and deeply understanding economic flows. When you believe in yourself while the whole world doubts, you hold an absolute competitive advantage. But that grand vision will be fragile if it is not protected and nurtured by quality friendships. This is a dramatic reality I've learned. You're the average of the people around you. If you surround yourself with those who settle for less, you will soon lose your fire. The harm of living in a circle of intellectually poor relationships is the gradual atrophy of critical thinking. You will never be challenged, never be rebutted, and ultimately, you will drown in your own complacency. Intellectual loneliness is a death sentence for creativity. Conversely, the benefit of building relationships with giant minds is an explosion of awareness. Look at the dialogue between me and Warren Buffett. Initially, I mistakenly thought we had nothing in common. I saw him as a mere stock trader, and he might have thought I was just a tech nerd. However, the moment we actually sat down and talked, a new world opened up. Warren asked me questions about software so deep that even IBM would be puzzled. He taught me how to look at systems, how to understand economic moats and the sustainability of a business. A true friendship pulls you out of the deep pit of narrow-mindedness. It forces you to see the world through the lens of another giant. Good friends don't just support you, they challenge you to the very edge of intellectual endurance. Paul Allen was there to push my intuition, and Warren Buffett was there to shape my long-term vision. When great souls collide, they don't just create ideas, they create revolutions. Never underestimate the power of a quality conversation. It can completely change how you invest, how you lead, and most importantly, how you define success. When you have sharp vision and brilliant teammates, you are ready to reach the final peak, where personal success must give way to the eternal values of humanity. Guided optimism and the legacy of empathy when you stand at the pinnacle of fame and possess a massive fortune. A brutal question arises. What is all of this for? We live in an era where success is often measured by soulless numbers, power rankings, and outward glamour. But have you ever felt a void creeping in even after you've achieved your goals? The greatest pain of our generation is not a lack of technology, but the rupture between the intellect and the heart. We obsess over solving complex technical problems, optimizing profits, and racing after emotionless algorithms, only to realize we are living in a world increasingly divided and unjust. Optimism without empathy is toxic optimism. If you only use your intellect to create luxury toys for those who already have everything, while ignoring the billions struggling with disease and poverty, then your success is actually just a selfish illusion. The tragedy of indifference is the worst legacy a human can leave behind. If we don't address the problem of inequality now, scientific progress will only deepen the black holes of society. Children in poor countries will continue to die from diseases that already have cures. And farmers will be left empty-handed in the face of climate change just because we were too busy with puzzles, interesting scientific riddles that lack practicality. That pain is not far away. It lies in the skepticism of those looking at the future with eyes of despair. When the world loses faith in innovation, that is when we fail as human beings. We cannot build a sustainable future on a foundation of apathy. The solution to this pain, surprisingly, does not lie in a mathematical formula or a new operating system, but in a shift of consciousness, optimism guided by empathy. To solve humanity's greatest problems, you must step out of your comfort zone and look deep into the pain of the most destitute. When I went to Soweto and saw firsthand the devastation of poverty and disease, I realized that my intellect only has value when it is used to save a human life. The benefit of an empathetic mindset is that it gives you a purpose greater than yourself. It turns dry numbers into smiles, innovation into salvation. When you decide to solve real human problems like malaria, illiteracy, or poverty, you will find an eternal source of energy that money can never buy. This is the true legacy I want you to aim for. Success is not a destination, it is a means for you to serve the world. Optimism will help you see possibilities, but it is empathy that will teach you how to act. Don't just be good engineers or business people. Be human beings who feel the pain of your fellow man. When you place your heart at the center of algorithms and thinking, you will see the world begin to change. Pessimists might be right about the present, but empathetic optimists will be the ones to shape the future. I place my faith in you, those who will not just solve puzzles, but will solve the vital problems of this earth. Create a future where progress leaves no one behind. That is the final victory, the most satisfactory answer to the question of why we were born. And then, you will realize that the most important thing is not how much money you have in the bank, but how many lives you have lit up.